Chapter 17, even when you stop, the world continues its journey. The same cycles repeat, the same seasons, the same shifting weather. Yet some people find themselves stuck at certain points in life. The very actions they once pursued begin to haunt them. Some moments were never meant to happen, yet through self-doubt and insecurity, people drift blindly into the wrong paths. Perhaps it was my fault to have drawn these two girls into my confusion. The simplest solution seemed to be staying away from the prom. At least I would hear about what I missed, rather than face what I might ruin. My friends would understand. None of them would be too disappointed if I chose that excuse. Still, there was one thing I could not ignore: Joan's growing interest. Despite Josh's presence, her feelings seemed fixed on me, the one caught in between. Between me, Josh, and Jacob, Joan remained a story of her own. She once told me about a boy who had taken her beyond her expectations. As she spoke, her eyebrows lifted, and her lips curved uneasily, as though the words themselves carried discomfort. Her hands clung to the edge of her skirt, and her dimples deepened as she lowered her head, trying, perhaps, to hide the smile behind the memory. I couldn't handle it. Even staying there for a minute felt like an alarm would go off, Joan said, drawing in a deep breath as I watched her closely. The evening wind swept past the rooftop of the chapel where we sat along the veranda. It was that Sunday, just before she would ask me to be her prom date. Our secrecy still held, untouched, with no clear signs of what lay beneath. After Jacob, Alvin came into my life, she continued. He was different, nothing like Jacob. With what felt like affection, he slowly pulled me into something I hadn't asked for. One Saturday night, he asked me something I wasn't ready for, she said. I leaned in slightly, careful not to miss a word. Though her voice was steady, I sensed hesitation. The word I expected lingered between us, almost forming. She tried to withdraw from the story, but I pushed gently. She had to finish it. I needed to know, then she said it. He wanted to kiss me and what? I asked. I ran, she replied sharply. Why, that's nothing, barely anything, I said lightly. Her expression hardened instantly. What did you expect from me? I'm not a slut. I'm a girl, she said, her eyes locking firmly into mine. I chuckled. She stood up abruptly and walked away, clearly offended. That was one thing about Joan, she was easily provoked, quick to react. Had it not been for the bond we had built since Senior 1, that moment might have ended everything. She held tightly to her sense of being right, even when evidence suggested otherwise. That memory lingered with me, even through the chemistry lesson. Now it was about a week after the party. The chemistry class dragged on as usual. After early morning prep, what students jokingly called winter, many struggled to stay awake. This lesson, right after break, often turned into a quiet battle against sleep until lunch arrived. No matter how complex the equations appeared on the board, the lesson would never exceed 2 hours. I held on to that thought as the teacher moved from one side of the class to the other. When the lunch bell rang, many students simply dropped their heads onto their desks before noise slowly filled the room. This doesn't surprise me, Sammy said from beside me. This is one subject I respect. You try balancing equations and still fail to reach equilibrium. Sammy and I talked often, but only because we shared a desk. Beyond that, our connection barely stretched further. I glanced across the room. One head remained upright. Joan. Before I could hold that thought, Queen walked toward my desk at the back, just like in Senior 1. It felt like something was restarting. She sat beside me. Sammy burst into laughter. Queen rested her head on the desk, ignoring him. What's the big deal? I asked. Sammy stopped laughing and began tapping her, trying to disturb her rest. What's wrong with you, Sammy? Can't you let me sleep? Queen murmured. He didn't stop. What's your problem? She snapped, lifting her head. Sammy, leave her alone, I said before turning slightly and meeting Joan's eyes. She was watching. The moment I looked at her, she turned away quickly and buried herself in her books. Something about that look stayed with me. Then Sammy shifted the moment entirely. I heard about your Senior 2 relationship, he said. So, Queen replied, eyes half closed again. I just want to know what happened, he continued. When two people stay apart for so long, the connection that brought them together must have broken, especially if they've taken different paths. His tone was playful, but his curiosity was not. What are you trying to say? I asked cautiously, stealing another glance at Joan. Some students had already left for lunch. A few of us remained, caught in whatever Sammy was building. Then he said it. A dare. He challenged Queen to perform what he called the breakup ritual. A breakup kiss. Everyone has tried it, except those who have never been in love, Sammy added, unaware of who he was dealing with. That's easy, Queen said, almost amused. I looked toward Joan again. Something was about to go wrong. I tried to interrupt, but it was too late. Without hesitation, Queen leaned in and kissed me. Brief, sudden, uncontrolled, I froze. Because in that single moment, something irreversible had happened. Something that would not only affect me and Queen, but Joan too. And she had seen everything. Chapter 18, Joan, please.